Hi, my name's Tom Barry. I am the Village Blacksmith here in Greenport. Greenport, Long Island is the home of the East End Seaport Museum. Right now we're sitting in the forge of Paul the Blacksmith. He was a very beloved member of our Greenport community, and he ran the blacksmith shop here from 1923 to 1987, over 60 years. The mission of our Village Blacksmith is primarily education. And everything that we do here is all about different techniques of blacksmithing. So each of the projects that I do, they're completed in anywhere from 15 minutes to a half an hour, and people get to see all or part of a build. Today we're going to make a simple bottle opener out of a piece of flat bar. And the first thing we're going to do is put the piece of metal into the forge, and the forge is going to heat that piece of metal up to about 1800 to 2000 degrees. What I'm running here is a coal forge. This is a solid fuel forge. We're burning anthracite coal, which is not the typical coal that a blacksmith would use. Most of the time blacksmiths would use a form of smithing coal, which is a bituminous coal. Here I'm using a higher grade of coal so that I don't have any smoke going up the chimney with all the open air restaurants that are around me down here in Greenport. So right now we're cooking pretty good. We got a nice hot fire. There's our nice temperature that we want. That's about 1800 degrees. Once we get the piece of metal up to temperature, we're going to punch a slot through a section of the metal at the very top. I'm going to hammer it through. Not all the way. Just about there, and we're going to knock it out. And we're going to heat it back up again. We're going to do that a couple of times here. We're going to constantly reheat the metal. And I'm going to grab a second drift. This one's a little bit wider in diameter. And we're going to take pieces of metal that we've shaped into a conical shape, and we're going to pass that through the slot, ever widening the piece of metal into a ring. And we want to be able to fit it over the width of a bottle cap. So as we drift it through, it'll take 3 or 4 drifts. We'll also work the piece of metal out on the bick of the horn. All right, so the corners are gone. The bick of the horn is a 2-hammer system, as is the entire anvil. And every time I hit the piece of metal on the anvil itself is hitting from the underside of the piece of metal. Once we've got the ring to the size that we need, we'll put it onto a sizing post. It is not yet big enough to be a bottle opener. And that sizing post will help ensure that I've got the right size. And now I'm going to finish it up. And it also gives me a great place to do some finish hammering on the piece of metal. It's getting bigger and bigger, but you can see now how the ring is a pretty good shape. Once the ring is finished, it's time to put in the lifting mechanism. We're just going to heat up the metal again, but we're going to put it in the fire tail end first. If I stuck the ring in the fire, trying to get the throat there hot enough, I'm going to burn the ring off. We're going to push metal from the main bar out into the ring. So when I get a nice bright orange, I know I'll be able to move the metal pretty easily. And that's what forging is all about. Basically, anything that you can do with clay, I can do with metal. As long as I heat it up to the temperature that it will move, I can use my hammers and I can use my various tools to manipulate that metal around. Most of the time we're not cutting things in pieces and then reattaching them. We're taking metal in a bigger form and we're attempting to move that metal around. We're going to grab a little spot right in the throat, and we're going to hit down first. And all we need is a little bit of material to move into the ring. I put my maker's mark on the back, and now the true test, does it work? Will it lift up? And it does. It catches the lid right underneath, and now we've got to do our handle. So there's a little lifter in there, we've got the ring. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cool just the ring. That freezes the ring. The ring won't change shape now. Today the handle that we're going to do is what I call a mermaid handle. We'll try to stay in a little nautical theme here since we're down on the waterfront. We're going to first put a couple of choke marks into the main bar, and that's going to define the body of the mermaid and then the tail of the mermaid. The body of the mermaid is going to require I use a rounding hammer. It's going to be a 3-pound rounding hammer. And I'm going to come into the middle of the upper section here. And using the rounded portion of that hammer, I am going to push and pull the metal out from the main bar into 2 outer edges. So that's what we have right now. Now down here, we're going to make a little fishtail. For the tail, we're going to use a peen. The peen is used to manipulate the metal and move it back and forth. So striking it in this way will squeeze the metal out. So that's going to be our tail. I'm going to lay the belly into the dishing cup, strike down on the back side, and then I'm going to come down here and hit the tail. All right, I'm just going to clean that up. Let's straighten that tail out. Heat it up, melt a little brass onto it from a nice brass brush. So we're going to give it a little bit of a quench, just to knock the temperature down. So I'm going to take these brass bristle brushes, and at the right temperature, the bristles melt and they will stick to the steel. Get a little bit on the back side just for the heck of it. Coat it up with a little beeswax. So the beeswax is a natural wax coating that we can put on the piece. We're going to cool this down and we're all set to go. We started out with that, and that's what we ended up with, a little handmade, what I call mermaid bottle opener. And we'll shape that up just nice.